to some of you, I know we have some PhD students here and people probably supervising various social science, business and social science PhDs. Anyway, I'm from Chinese University of Hong Kong, and I'm editing or helping to edit a couple of these journals in our field. Journal of World Business, some of you know, it's one of the international management journals, IB Management. And I was former editor, I'm still consulting editor of Asia Pacific Journal Management, and that's the official journal of the Asia Academy of Management, which is part of the Academy of Management, one of the big management, and oldest, I think, or one of the oldest management organizations, mostly on the management side. We do publish a few other things occasionally in finance, a little occasionally in marketing, but mostly it's management and international business is what I deal with. But I will talk a little bit about the other social science areas today, a little bit, at least in business mostly. And I'm delighted to be back here. A few years ago, probably about 10 years ago, Gary Bruton and I, Gary's a well-known entrepreneurship researcher, and I work with Gary a lot, started to write papers about papers. So I would call it meta research or meta writing. And the reason we started to do it was a practical matter, because both of us have been editors or special issue editors or conference division chairs for about 20 years now in various capacity. And we kept writing rejection letters to authors over and over again. And finally I started to classify the letters into different categories. And I said, geez, people are making the same mistakes over and over again. And they're mistakes I make too, you know, as an author, undoubtedly. And I said, there's got to be a way to classify these things a little bit, at least a little bit. I mean, I'm not talking about fancy SEM models or anything, I mean, but just to categorize some things and to write some papers to authors, students and junior faculty especially, and even some Master of Science students who are doing thesis and so forth, about how the heck do you structure a paper? Okay, now, you know, you say, oh, there's plenty of books like that. Go to Sage and look at those pamphlets and all. Yeah, they're often written by education people, and God bless them, but they're very hard to follow for people in business and economics and so forth. And the examples they give are very educational and so forth. Also, they're not specific enough, I think, for our purposes and so forth. And believe me, I've read quite a bit of that material, so I know what I'm talking about, and I cite it in my work. So anyway, we came back and we started to do some papers on paper organization, which is what we call it. And I brought some of those papers with me. One of them I published in 2015 in Professor Jones's journal, and I've got that paper. It's an open access paper, so you can get that. And it talks basically about how to organize a paper and what goes in it. I'm talking about kind of a standard empirical paper that might be found in management, might be found in economics, some little differences there, but the structure very similar. Psychology, sociology, although we focus a little bit more on business examples or psychology that's coming over into the business area in our examples. Okay, anyway, the paper today, though, is the title here. That's a couple of journals associated. Is focusing on the introduction, because I often write about the introduction, and when the conference came along, I thought, I spend most of my time talking about the introduction in these presentations that I've been giving for the last 10, 12 years, mostly around East Asia, but some in Australia and a few other places. And I thought, geez, can I write a 20-page paper only about the introduction? And it turns out I could have written a 40-page paper about the introduction. It's the funniest thing.